What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Turnbuckle Topics Podcast. I'm your host, Pat Deneen, and on today's episode, we're going to talk about the latest announcement coming from WWE, and that is a date and location for Summerslam 2026. And it's not just going to be one night, as it typically has been forever. It's going to be much like WrestleMania we got the last couple of years. It's going to be a two-night spectacle. I'm sure WWE is going to be in for a very nice payday, as they have been, again, the last few years, but it's worked out good for the fans, at least as far as WrestleMania is concerned, and I'm very interested to see how this is going to culminate for SummerSlam. I'm excited for it, because honestly, other than WrestleMania, SummerSlam is definitely my second favorite core four out of the whole group. You know, Survivor Series is fun, Royal Rumble's always exciting because of all the entrants, the 30 entrants on the men's and the women's side, but honestly, over the years, the suspense of it all and who it could be has been kind of lackluster, so I don't really have the Royal Rumble in such high regard anymore. So definitely SummerSlam is it for me. And even Survivor Series. Survivor Series has been cool the last couple of years because War Games has definitely amped things up, but outside of that, you don't get the traditional 3-on-3 or 4-on-4, 5-on-5, whatever it is, Survivor Series matches anymore, so that's kind of lost its meaning as well. So SummerSlam, 2 nights, I'm here for it again. Not this year, not next year, but 2026, because when I first read the article, or the breaking news on Thursday, I honestly thought it was for 2025. I didn't think they were going to announce something already 2+ years in advance, because as far as I know, we don't even know where SummerSlam is going to be taking place for 2025. Obviously, this August, it's going to be in Cleveland, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Also, we're going to talk about the announcement we got from Triple H on Thursday in Saudi Arabia, preparing for King and Queen of the Ring. He let us know what's going to happen. We got a stipulation that has been brought back for the men, for the women, and the winner. They're really going to benefit from this. Not only will they be King of the Ring and Queen of the Ring, they're now in for a title opportunity come SummerSlam. So that's exciting stuff. In addition to that, I also want to talk about 2 very important individuals to the pro wrestling industry, that's for sure. Unfortunately, they both left us way too soon in their mid-30s, that being Owen Hart, who passed away 25 years ago this past Thursday, and Bray Wyatt. I want to bring him up because not only is it 9 months to the day today since we lost him, but his birthday was also on Thursday, so he would have been 37. Owen Hart, of course, in 25 years, 59, going on 60 next year. So again, 2 guys we lost way too early. Want to talk a little bit about them, honor them the best way I know how. And that's pretty much, what you're pretty much going to get for this episode today. Going to talk about the SummerSlam announcements, Triple H, and of course, 2 legends in the game, inside and outside of the ring, as many will tell you, in Bray Wyatt and Owen Hart. So why don't we start off here with Owen Hart? We all know, May 23rd, 1999, it was at the Over the Edge pay-per-view. Now, this pay-per-view, I was probably in 7th grade, and I did not watch it. I rarely would order the pay-per-views. I really wasn't allowed to do so, but that was cool, because I would always tune in to Monday Night Raw, and eventually when SmackDown came about, I'd watch SmackDown as well. And so, as far as this show is concerned, a couple of my friends would watch it from time to time, or I'd pop over their house, and so this one I was home. I wasn't watching it, and if I would turn on one of my parents' TVs, I'd be able to hear the audio for certain pay-per-view stations. Wouldn't really see it. It would be kind of blurry. And so when I found out, granted this is 1999, social media was what it is today. We might have had AOL back then, but that was it. And I forget how I was contacted. Was it through AOL? Was it through a phone call? I couldn't tell you either way, but I did find out this news, this gut-wrenching news about Owen Hart potentially getting injured, falling 80 feet, unfortunately to his demise. But at the time, you're hoping for the best. And so I remember turning on that television set and hearing the likes of Jim Ross and Jerry the King Lawler and trying to give us updates. And then we find out throughout the course of the show that he was pronounced dead, and how jaw-dropping and shocking that was. I mean, to be honest with you, the one thing I do remember is, because this was a Sunday, I would assume, all the pay-per-views and such. So going to school on Mondays was never fun, but the one thing me and my circle of friends could look forward to in middle school, namely, was going to school on Mondays and talking wrestling, and always preparing for Monday Night Raw, or what we saw on an episode of Sunday Night Heat, or a pay-per-view, and so on. And so this was such a dark time, this 24, 48 hours, and for many days and weeks after that, regarding Owen Hart, but especially, I mean, what were you to say? I mean, whether you were a huge fan of Owen Hart or not, this is crazy that this even happened. The Blue Blazer, the gimmick he had portrayed at this time, which never should have happened. We could go on for days about how this could have been prevented, but wasn't. And so whether you were a fan of Owen Hart or Bret Hart or Jim the Anvil Neidhart or British Bulldog, the Hart Foundation in general at one point in time, or you just like rooting against them, it was just so sad and shocking to find out that he's gone at 34 years old. It's criminal. So that was just terrible. I could go on for days, but Owen Hart, he'll forever be missed, and his legacy will never be forgotten. Obviously, he was, many will say, we knew him as fans, right? But many will say that got to know him through the business, or whether it was just in his, town or wherever he grew up or whoever he encountered. He was just such a good human being, a fantastic individual. And I'm going to get to Bray Wyatt in a minute. And that's what's kind of funny about this and ironic is both of these men, as much as they've done great things in the world of professional wrestling, they're both always mentioned as great, generous human beings. They're looking to help you in any way that they could. And so that says a lot about them. And it's kind of ironic that they kind of share May 23rd. Again, that being Bray's birthday. Unfortunately, that is the death date for Owen Hart. His birthday's a couple weeks prior to that, May 7th. But they have this kind of weird, eerie connection through this. But it makes a whole lot of sense because they made a major impact in pro wrestling, in WWE, and obviously outside of WWE, just as being the great individuals as they were. Now, this list of accolades, just as a little side note, as far as Owen Hart's concerned, his Wikipedia is filled with different companies and promotions he worked for and championships he accrued. So I'm just going to go over a few things that Owen Hart has on his resume, and then I'm going to hop over to Bray Wyatt. Owen Hart, he's a former European champion. He's a 2-time Intercontinental champion, a 4-time tag team champion, twice with Yokozuna, once with the British Bulldog, and once with Jeff Jarrett. Now, that surprised me. I did know that he was a tag team champion with all these guys, but I thought he had more reigns with the British Bulldog, but the only 2-time reign was with Yokozuna. He's a 1994 King of the Ring winner, and as far as that goes, that was pretty much it for WWE, but incredible career. Again, the list of accomplishments and championships is just a little notch on the belt, pun intended, little side note, but the individual he was and what he did for pro wrestling in general was just fantastic. And he was really just getting started. Again, only just turned 34 a couple of weeks prior to his death. And he had so much more in the tank. Everybody talks about how many more potential feuds he could have had during the Attitude Era or running into the Ruthless Aggression later on when he would have been more of the veteran leader. And so it's just super sad to even discuss and think about the what ifs, right? Now, as far as Bray Wyatt's concerned, again, the outpouring of love and support for Owen Hart on Thursday, being 25 years since he passed, whether it was, Natalya or the British Bulldog's daughter, or whomever, just a couple that I had saw on my feed, and so many others. That's just a list of a couple that I saw when I woke up Thursday, seeing that. And much like the outpouring of love and support for Bray Wyatt, again, this being his 37th birthday, this is obviously the first birthday he's not here to celebrate it. And so seeing posts from his sister and from close friends, from the Wyatt family and all his other peers, is just, I was like, man, May 23rd, this is brutal. I was like, I need some good news, at least as far as pro wrestling is concerned. Owen Hart and Bray Wyatt, and I was like, and then we got a couple announcements again with the SummerSlam, and then Triple H talking about King of the Ring and what's at stake here, and so that was cool. It helped boost morale a little bit for me, but overall, it was just kind of like, man, doom and gloom. It felt like it really was trying to reflect on the positives, but trying to look for that silver lining, but it was really dark. But anyway, Bray Wyatt, man, just seeing again posts from his sister and friends and his significant other, and then you see pictures of the kids, and it just breaks your heart. It really does, man. Like, even if you're not just a fan of an Owen Hart or a Bray Wyatt, just such family men, and then gone too soon suddenly, no chance to really say goodbye, both unexpected. It's not like they were, dying of some terminal illness where you just knew the time was coming. They were both so sudden, and again, in their profession, they were just really getting started, so to speak, even though they had many years in the business. So as far as Bray Wyatt was concerned, he's a former WWE champion, 2-time Universal champion. He had won the Raw Tag Team Championships with Matt Hardy, SmackDown Tag Team Championships alongside the likes with Randy Orton and Luke Harper. And again, he barely scratched the surface too. He's got, quite a decent list on his resume as far as what he accomplished in WWE, much like Owen Hart, but they both had so much more in store. And they'll forever be missed. I mean, realistically, two guys I love to go back and watch on the WWE Network or on Peacock. Owen Hart, classic matches. I mean, you could go on for days. I mean, just one off the top, him and Brett, right? Was it WrestleMania 10? As far as Bray Wyatt's concerned, I mean, man, honestly, his matches were great, but I just as much looked forward to a Bray Wyatt promo, if I'm being honest, coming out with the Wyatt family. That was always my favorite Bray Wyatt with Eric Rowan, Luke Harper. Fantastic stuff in NXT. Coming to the main roster, even later on with Braun Strowman, he definitely added a lot to their group too. So just super sad. And, all the best to the family and friends of one Owen Hart and Bray Wyatt. All right, so let's shift gears and talk about SummerSlam 2026. That was Thursday, roughly 10 a.m. or so Eastern Standard Time. We got a tweet from one Triple H saying, "The biggest event of the summer is getting even bigger. The first ever two-night SummerSlam comes to US Bank Stadium in Minneapolis, Minnesota on August 1st and 2nd, 2026. So my initial reaction was, well, like I said in the beginning of the show, it really didn't register that this was an announcement for 2026. All I said to myself was, wow, this is kind of early to find out that SummerSlam next year is going to be in Minnesota. And then it finally dawned on me that, wow, this isn't next year, it's the year after that. It's 2026. So anyway, hearing that, seeing that we're getting the first ever two-night SummerSlam take place, I really did like that. And I'm really curious to see how this is going to pan out. Again, they've done it the last few years. What's it been? The last 4 years with WrestleMania. And I've honestly liked it. Instead of stacking the card and having 10, 12 matches or matchups in one night, and I'm sure all those that were in attendance for all those long pay-per-views in one day and night, it's exhausting. It's a lot of wrestling. And so to break it up into two nights, I think it's a great idea. Obviously, from a financial aspect, I'm sure it works out even better for WWE and these stadiums. It's an extra night of merchandise, concessions, and so on. You even want to break it down to parking and obviously tickets to another night, right? Instead of just going night one, you're going night two now. So there's so many reasons, obviously, that WWE and these venues are doing this, and from a business standpoint. So anyway, from a fan standpoint, I do enjoy it. As far as WrestleMania was concerned, and we'll see how it's going to go for SummerSlam. Now, what I'm about to read to you guys was an official article from ESPN in regards to this announcement for SummerSlam 2026. It says the 2026 edition of SummerSlam will be held at the US Bank Stadium in Minneapolis and will take a page out of the WrestleMania playbook and get the two-night treatment that WWE announced early Thursday. This will be the first time SummerSlam will take place over two nights. WrestleMania started the trend of two-night events for WWE in 2020 and held the first two-night WrestleMania in front of a live crowd in 2021. WrestleMania 40 set a WWE gate record of over 145,000 fans over two nights at Philadelphia's Lincoln Financial Field this past April. Thursday's announcement might come as a consolation for Minneapolis, which had been the rumored location for WrestleMania 42 in 2025, before WWE instead landed on Las Vegas. This will be the first time Minnesota has hosted a premium live event for WWE since 2019, when TLC, Tables, Ladders, and Chairs took place there in December. That was pretty much the gist of this ESPN article. Now, as I look back to it, I didn't misread it, but they did write this wrong. Now, they certainly were in the running for WrestleMania next year. However, WrestleMania 41 is what is taking place in 2025, obviously. And so we found out, again, as they did mention the correct location for next year for WrestleMania 41, not 42. It is going to be in Las Vegas at Allegiant Stadium, where the Raiders play. And actually, that was the home of 2021 SummerSlam in Las Vegas, where we saw Cena go up against Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar returned, and so on and so forth. So, this is big, obviously, for Minneapolis, getting this first ever two-night SummerSlam taking place August 1st and 2nd in 2026. Kudos to them. This is probably why they made the announcement so far in advance, saying, hey, look, maybe we did not land WrestleMania 41 next year, but we got something even bigger down the pike a year and a half after that for the first ever two-night SummerSlam, which sounds pretty good. Again, as I said at the start of this podcast, I'm a huge fan of SummerSlam. It's very well known, very well documented through these podcasts, through all my friends and family. They know that, look, I love a good WrestleMania, but I just as much love SummerSlam. And so the fact they're going to 2 nights, I'm assuming this is the way they're going to continue to keep it. I mean, if it's, any example how WrestleMania went, we thought maybe it would be just a trial run, which I think it was initially for WrestleMania 36, COVID, the whole Thunderdome or Performance Center bit, and then that continued on for the next 4 years with live fans in attendance. So that looks like where they're headed. Starting in 2026, I'm assuming, obviously this SummerSlam, August 3rd, is one night, and I'm assuming 2025 will be one night because you can't announce the first ever 2-night SummerSlam and then have wherever it's headed next year for SummerSlam sneak in and be the first 2-night event. So all that being said, I'm very excited to see what takes place August 2026, first ever 2-night SummerSlam. Again, looking forward to it. Now, what do you say we get to the final story of today? And that is the other announcement we got later in the day from Triple H Thursday in regards to King and Queen of the Ring. And what exactly is at stake other than becoming King of the Ring and Queen of the Ring as well? Now, he did mention that he's kicking it old school, what they looked forward to in the late 80s or 90s. Specifically him, he won the 98 King of the Ring, I want to say. No, I'm sorry, he won 97 because Austin won 96. He was supposed to win 96, but that damn curtain call hurt him when Kevin Nash and Scott Hall went over to WCW. Shawn Michaels, I don't think they really did anything to him. He might have taken some time off, and, Triple H, he was the only one left, and so he got penalized and missed out on the King of the Ring victory that year. But, hey, did that work out or what? Austin won it. Austin 316 became a thing. Need I say more all these years later? Incredible. Anyway, Triple H went on to say that the winner of the King of the Ring and the Queen of the Ring will get a title opportunity for their specific brand, whether they're on Raw, whether they're on SmackDown, and they will get that title opportunity at SummerSlam this year, August 3rd. So that was great to hear. It's fantastic for these men and women to get this opportunity. Makes me think even more, at least from the men's side of things, that Gunther is going to win this tournament. So regardless who comes out of SmackDown later tonight, whether it's Randy Orton or the Bloodline's Tama Tonga, doesn't matter. As I said in the last episode, I want Randy Orton to win. I want to see at least him have an opportunity to get the job done in the final, right? It's the only thing he really hasn't done during his WWE career, and that's become King of the Ring. But let's be honest here. Trajectory-wise, as far as where his career is headed, specifically this summer, Gunther is headed for the World Championship, bottom line. Now, whether he wins that at SummerSlam in the beginning of August or maybe a few weeks later at the Bash in Berlin, either way, I think Gunther wins that title this August. That's the bottom line. And so Gunther's going to win this King of the Ring, and I couldn't be happier. As far as the women are concerned, I'm really scratching my head. As far as Monday Night Raw is concerned, Lyra Valkyria going to the final. Again, we'll find out tonight from SmackDown. Will it be Bianca Belair? Will it be Nia Jax? Now, look, I don't see Bianca winning tonight. I love her. I would love to see her advance. But she is one half of the women's tag team champions, her and Jade Cargill. And so as far as a singles opportunity or push is concerned right now, I just don't see that in the cards for her. So I do see Nia Jax getting the win later tonight, putting that match at Queen of the Ring Saturday, Lyra Valkyria versus Nia Jax in the final. And I would have Nia Jax win the whole thing. Why not have her become Queen of the Ring? For many a reason. I don't necessarily see her winning the title this summer or any time in 2024 realistically, but I think she's more than legitimate to be a title contender. She had that opportunity at Elimination Chamber in Perth, Australia against Rhea Ripley. Obviously, she did not get the job done there. But she's had a great return, as I said many a time this year, since returning to the company last year. I think, Lyra Valkyria getting this opportunity is fantastic. She's only been on the main roster not even a full month. And look at what she's done. She's already in Saudi this Saturday competing for the final to become Queen of the Ring. That's awesome. And so I don't see Lyra winning. So Nia Jax winning a title opportunity at SummerSlam, I think that's fantastic. And I don't see her getting it done. I don't see her beating a Bayley. Let's just say it's Bayley, right? I don't see that happening. But either or, that's how I see things shaken up with Gunther and Nia winning their respective tournaments this Saturday. And that does it for me here, folks. Thank you, as always, for tuning in to the Turnbuckle Topics podcast. I am your host, Pat Deneen. Enjoy King and Queen of the Ring. It's going to be a good one, and I can't wait to see who becomes King and Queen, getting those title opportunities this August at SummerSlam. I think that's awesome. Thank you, Triple H and company, for doing what's right and making this tournament even more valuable and meaningful. I'll catch you next time. Thanks for listening.